Good morning everyone. We all know that organic matter is very critical for soil health and soil fertility. So it is very important to maintain this organic matter in your soil. Nowadays, due to high use of chemical fertilizer, farmers are forgetting to add this organic matter to the soil. So today we are going to talk about the sources of this organic matter in the soil, that is manure, compost and biofertilizer. I am going to start with manure. So what is this manure? Manure are organic in nature, they have very low analytical value, they are bulky or concentrated, they have no definite chemical composition, but they are capable of supplying plant nutrient and also improving the physical condition of the soil. So this is how they are going to contribute to soil fertility and soil health. So now let's see the classification of this manure. So mainly the manures are classified into bulky and concentrated. As I told, that manure can be bulky or concentrated. In bulky, it is well decomposed and green plant tissue. And when we talk about the concentrated, it is oil cake, blood meal, meat meal and others. So in this well decomposed, here comes the plant or animal waste. They are totally decomposed and converted into humus-like substance like FIM, like any type of compost. And nowadays the town refuges are also used to that also. So that was all about well decomposed manures, and now let's talk about the green plantation. Here comes the green manures. Okay, so this was all about the bulky manures, and now let's talk about the concentrated manures. Oil cakes. So oil cakes can be of two types, that is edible and non-edible. In edible it is mustard, groundnut and all. In non-edible it is pomemia, neem cake and others. So that was about oil cake. Blood meal, they have very high amount of nitrogen and phosphorus, so they comes in the concentrated meat meal and in others like fish meal and bone meal, like that. So this was the classification of manure. Now let's talk about what are the characteristics of these manures. So they supply nutrients. They are capable of supplying nutrients and like nutrient like nitrogen, sulfur, micronutrient. So organic matter is very important source of nitrogen, sulfur and micronutrient. Physical condition. So they are very helpful in forming the granule-like soil structure. So that is how they are going to improve the physical condition and also like soil temperature, soil layer and soil water movement. They stimulate the microorganism. They are not only the organic matter is not only the habitat of microorganism, but also they supply food for their biological activity. So that's how they are going to stimulate the activity of microorganisms. When we talk about chemical, how they are going to contribute the chemical characteristic of soil, they are going to improve the buffering capacity of soil and also the exchange capacity of soil. And the organic matter are very good in forming chelates. They secrete organic acid that are very capable of forming chelates. So that's how they are going to contribute the chemical characteristic of soil, and they also regulate the thermal regime of the soil. So these are the characteristics of manures. Now let's talk about very important manures, that is FIM and green manure. It was all about composting. Now let's talk about biofertilizer. So what are this biofertilizer? They are the live cell. They are applied to the soil with the aim of increasing the population of beneficial microorganisms that improve the biological activity in the soil, that increase the nutrient availability and also enhance and boost the organic matter decomposition. So now let's see the classification of this biofertilizer. So it is mainly nitrogen fixing, phosphorus solubilizing and organic matter decomposing. So when I talk about nitrogen fixing, it again symbiotic and non-symbiotic. In symbiotic, it is again nodule forming and non-nodule forming. In nodule forming, it is root. In root, the very famous symbiotic association, that is between rhizopus symbiotic, and the rhizobium fixes about 14 million tons of nitrogen at global scale, and it fixes around 15% of industrial nitrogen in the soil. And stem, it is association between Frankia and Sesperia. This was about nodule forming. When I talk about non-nodule forming, it is association between Azolla and blue-green algae. When I talk about non-symbiotic, it is Azotobacter, Azospirillum and blue-green algae. So Azotobacter, it is heterotrophic bacteria, highly aerobic, and they are free living. When I talk about Azospirillum, they are associated. Mainly, they live in the roots of the plants. So that's why we call them associated type of microorganism. And blue-green algae, they are both symbiotic and also non-symbiotic, and they fix around we can say 15 to 30 kg nitrogen per hectare. So blue-green algae fix around 15 to 30 kg nitrogen per hectare, and Azotobacter mainly fix nitrogen in crops like wheat, sorghum, etc. Azospirillum is very famous for fixing this nitrogen in sugarcane. Blue-green algae is very famous for fixing the nitrogen in rice crop. So this was nitrogen fixing. Now let's talk about phosphorus solubilizer. It is again divided into solubilizer and mobilizer. In solubilizer, the famous example are Bacillus and Pseudomonas, like Bacillus megaterium and others. And in mobilizer, the very famous mycorrhiza. So mycorrhiza is mainly the fungus root. It is symbiotic association. We can say mutualistic association between the fungus and the root. And here comes the acto and endogene. In acto, it is mainly the amanthus and glomus. In endomycorrhiza, the very famous Bes. So this was all about phosphorus solubilizer. Now let's talk about the organic matter decomposer. It is divided into cellulolytic and lipolytic. In cellulolytic, the very famous example are Trichoderma and Trichoderma. In lipolytic, the very famous example are Polyporus and Agricus. So this was the main classification of biofertilizer. Now let's talk about what are the criteria needed and what are the precautions needed for this biofertilizer. Now this is enough for green manure. Now let's come to compost. What is compost? Compost is an organic material that is produced by method through composting. And composting is a biological process which includes microorganisms which convert the biodegradable substance into humus-like substance and also reduce the strain ratio of that matter. So that is all about compost and composting. Now let's talk about what are the factors that is going to affect this compost. First is moisture. Moisture is very important for any chemical reaction, and without moisture no chemical reaction is possible in earth. And moisture is also important for the activity of biological microorganisms. So when I talk about moisture content, so for dry matter or for fibrous type of like straw and all, the moisture content should be 75 to 85%. But when this residue or raw material is of green leaf plant or leaf tissue, it should be near 50 to 60%. So this was all about moisture content, and now let's talk about what should be the temperature. During composting, it attains two temperatures, that is medium and very high. The medium one is called mesophilic, and very high temperature is called thermophilic. So initial stages are usually mesophilic, that is the temperature is around 40 to 60 degrees Celsius, and in thermophilic it attains very high temperature, that is 55 to 70 degrees Celsius. So that is all about the temperature, and both temperature are very important because mesophilic is very important for initial degradation of this organic matter, and very high temperature is very important for the active decomposition of organic matter and also for destroying the pathogen, pest and weed material present in the compost. So that's why the control of temperature is very important, and the pH. So the pH should be around 6 to 7 degrees Celsius, because there is fungus which is also responsible for the degradation of this organic matter, and bacteria also. Bacteria need neutral to relatively high pH, but fungus need acidic pH. So for bacteria we need to maintain the pH around 7 to 8.5, but for fungus it should be around 5.5 to 7. So we need the optimum pH, that is 6 to 7. Now when we talk about the CN ratio, the main reason for composting, why we go for composting, is CN ratio. So the material needed for CN for composting should be not very high CN ratio, but usually what happens, the microorganisms need carbon for their energy and the nitrogen for their plant cell synthesis. So the material should not be very high CN ratio, otherwise it will take very long time to form the compost. Next is aeration. Oxygen is very important. Why? Because it is very important for the growth of microorganisms in the compost, and also to remove the excess heat, and also to remove the excess moisture. So aeration is very important while composting. So this were some of the factors that is responsible for formation of good compost. Now let's talk about what should be the characteristic of the compost that is formed. So the moisture of the compost form should be 15 to 25%. So the moisture should be 15 to 25%, and the color should be dark brown to black color. And the odor, there should not be any foul odor present in the compost, and the particles should be 90% of the particles should pass from the 4 mm seed. The bulk density should be 0.7 to 0.9, and the EC should be less than 4. When I talk about the nutrient content, the total organic carbon should be more than 16%, and the total nitrogen should be more than 0.5%. And the total phosphorus should be more than 0.5%, and the potassium should also be more than 0.5%. When I talk about the CN ratio, very important thing, the CN ratio of the compost form should be less than 20:1. It should be around 15 to 20. Okay. So this is the composition or the characteristic of the compost form. Now let's talk about the classification of compost. So based on the material we are going to use, it is divided into rural or urban. In rural, it is mainly the farm waste, that is the straw or many other things like litter and all. In urban, it is mainly the vegetable waste from the kitchen garden, and also the sewage and sludge, all these things. Based on the oxygen, it is again the aerobic and anaerobic. The characteristic of aerobic compost is it attain very high temperature while the process, and also it do not have any foul odor. Second thing, it mainly contain only the aerobic kind of microorganism. When I talk about anaerobic, there is on a mesophilic temperature, and second thing, there is foul odor present, but the composition and the quality and the nutrient content of anaerobic is much more than the aerobic. When I talk about the temperature, based on temperature, again the composting is mesophilic and thermophilic. So the temperature of mesophilic is usually 45 to 55, and of thermophilic it is 55 to 70. So remember, in many exams we used to ask the temperature of mesophilic and thermophilic. It is 45 to 55 or 55 to 70. Based on the technology, it is open or windrow method or mechanical. So in open, what happens? We are going to do the composting process in open condition. But in mechanical, we use either we can say some digester or some enclosed unit for the process. So this was the classification of compost. Now let's talk about what are the advantages of this compost. Very important thing, it is going to add the organic matter, and also it is going to enrich the soil with nutrient, and then it is going to replace the, not we can say replace, but it will lead to the minimum use of chemical fertilizer. Okay. encourage many biological activity because it is food for many microorganisms. So definitely it will encourage the biological cycle in the soil, and it also help to manage the organic waste. So this was all about what is composting, how the factor is going to affect, what is the composition of the compost form, and what is the classification, and what are the advantages of this compost. It was all about farmland manure. Now let's talk about what is green manure. What is green manure? It is mainly the flowing and incorporating the green plant tissue into the soil for improving the physical condition of the soil and also for improving the fertility of the soil. So the green manure is basically classified into green manure and green leaf manure. This is in situ, this is ex situ. Here what happened, we are going to grow the green manure crop within the field and then we are going to incorporate it. Here what will happen, we are going to grow the green manure crop outside the field and then we are going to collect the leaf or the twigs outside the field and then we are going to bring it to the field and then we are going to incorporate. So what is the example of this green manure in situ? That is Sunham, Diancha and Guar. What are the examples of ex situ? That is Glisteria and Pompenia. So this was the classification of green manure. Now let's talk about what is the characteristic of green manure plant. So they should be very soft and tender because they have to decompose very fast and they should be very fast growth. They need to decompose very fast and they should not attract any pest or disease. They should not compete with the main crop. So this should be the characteristic of the green manure crop, and also very important, somewhere they should be leguminous, means they should definitely fix nitrogen in the field. So these were the criteria for selecting the green manure crop. Now let's talk about what are the advantages of this green manure crop. So they are going to improve the organic matter present in the soil, that is they add the organic matter in the soil. Second thing is return nutrient. What happens? This green manure crop usually they have very deep roots. So they are going to bring the nutrient from the subsurface to the surface. So that is how the nutrient present in the subsurface layer is going to come at the surface and the nutrient is going to return to the surface and topsoil and it is going to be available for the crop plant. It is going to improve the physical condition, that is going to improve the structure of the soil, and this is how the physical condition of the soil is going to be improved. They are going to stop the erosion and runoff of the soil because the roots of this green manure crops have very binding effect on the soil particle. So they will prevent the erosion and the runoff. They are going to improve the nutrient present because they increase the availability of nitrogen, phosphorus and many other essential plant nutrients. Residual effect. As we all know that leguminous plant they fix nitrogen and that is how this nitrogen is available for next crop also. So this is how the green manure crop has residual effect of nutrient. This was all about green manure. That was all about what is manure, what is the classification of manure and what is the characteristic of manure. Now let's talk about what is farmyard manure. So farmyard manure is well-decomposed mixture of dung, farm litter and urine. The farmyard manure has usually two components, that is solid and liquid. In solid it is dung and litter, in liquid it is urine. Usually this urine has very high amount of nitrogen and phosphorus compared to the dung. And the standard method for the preparation of FIM is trench method. We are going to dig a trench of 6 into 1.5 into 1.5 meter and we are going to fill the litter and the dung in it and then we are going to cover it with the earth. We are going to leave for 3 to 4 months and our manure is going to be prepared. So now let's talk about what are the factors that is going to affect the preparation of this manure and the quality of this manure. So it is the origin of manure. So usually what happens, the sheep and poultry, they are very rich in nitrogen and phosphorus compared to the dung from cow, horse or pig. So this is how the origin of this manure is very important. Next one is what are the type of food. The food you're going to feed into the animal is definitely going to decide the quality of your manure. Like if you will give more amount of protein, then the manure is going to be rich in nitrogen and phosphorus. So next one is age and condition of animals. So age, like old animals, what will happen? This old animal are not going to absorb much of the nutrient. So in their excreta there will be high amount of nutrient. Okay, but young animals they need nutrient for their very fast metabolic rates. So most of the nutrient is going to be absorbed, and their excreta is going to have very poor amount of nutrient. So this is how the age and condition of animal is going to affect. Second one is species of animal. Like animal is ruminant or non-ruminant, that is also definitely going to affect the quality of this manure. Now next one is what is the nature of this data. Like if you are going to add very high CN ratio material or very low CN ratio material, so that is definitely going to affect the quality of this compost. Now, second one, that is function of animal. So, how function of animal is going to affect? Now, like animal that is producing milk or producing wool, they are going to absorb the nutrient in high amount. Then the animal that is going to work in the draft. So this is how it is going to vary. The draft animal will have very high amount of nutrient in their excreta as compared to the animal that is producing milk or wool. Now, very important one is handling and storage. In India, the poor quality of manure is because of poor handling and storage conditions. So this is very important factor in Indian condition. So this was all about what is farmyard manure and how the conditions are going to affect the quality of this farmyard manure. Let's talk about what are the precautions we need to take for this biofertilizer. They should be stored in cool and dry place. The second very important point is don't keep them in direct sunlight. Keep them away from the direct sunlight and use the right combination. That is mainly most of the microorganisms, they are very crop specific, like rhizobium. So if you want the beneficial effect, you must use the right combination. Do not mix them with chemical fertilizer or any type of chemical and use before their expiry date. So remember, you need to use the biofertilizer before their expiry date, otherwise you are not going to get any result. So this was about the classification of biofertilizer and precautions. Now I just want to generally say about the advantages of this biofertilizer. So they are the renewable source of this nutrient and they help to sustain this soil health. They are the supplement of this chemical fertilizer and they reduce the usage of this chemical fertilizer by 25 to 35%. They are environmental friendly and they are very economical also. They improve not only the structure but also the nutrient presence of the soil, and they release many type of antibiotics and fungistatic chemicals that suppress the pests and diseases in the soil. And mycorrhiza, it help not only the biotic stress but also help the plant to tolerate the abiotic stress also. And it's very important to it help to solubilize the nutrient and also mobilize the nutrient. So these were some of the advantages of this biofertilizer. This was all about manure, compost and biofertilizer. Thank you.